Today, we remember that freedom is not free. You have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so that we may enjoy the gift of freedom. So, in this moment, we remember and give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render our honor and our gratitude.
Our opening clip was American patriot Alex Pretti reading the final honors for an American veteran he helped take care of as an ICU nurse in a veterans hospital. I wanted to check in with you all and to remind you to do what I've been doing because it's important for myself, for my family, for you. Find some time, find some space, whatever feels right to you, and grieve. Stephen Miller, Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, JD Vance, Jared Kushner, Ivanka Trump murdered Alex Pretti in cold blood. Bovino, the fall guy, he's being sent into early retirement, lost access to his social media. He, of course, also murdered Alex Pretti. There are reports that Trump's ICE Gestapo is in Phoenix, where they drove by peaceful protesters and sprayed a massive amount of mace out their window. This is like every disgusting Twitter, internet troll, every school shooter, every groper, weird Pepe the Frog, Reddit troll is in ICE and U.S. Border Patrol. It is just a mass murdering Stephen Miller, Christian nationalist, white nationalist extremist troll factory of school shooters that are running amok. Everything the NRA did for years in funneling money into the Republican Party, working with Russian spies to illegally help bring Trump to power in 2016. All of that normalization of mass murder, of schools getting shot up, kindergartens getting shot up, movie theaters getting shot up, where as an American, you're leaving your house, you're sending your kid off to school, and you're just in the back of your mind, you're thinking, will you come home? All of that has led to where we are today. It is the same evil. It is the same normalization of mass murder for corporate greed, for the corporate capture of our government, of this far-right extremist government. And so I know that things are very hard right now and that they're extra heavy. So do what you can to take time to grieve. But during this time, keep the pressure up because we need to know the names of the U.S. Border Patrol agents who pulled the trigger. Reportedly, Alex Pretti was shot 10 times, likely by several agents. And before those 10 bullets hit him by Border Patrol agents paid for with our tax dollars, before that hail of bullets, he had been pepper sprayed, and so had the woman next to him that he was trying to protect. And in his final words, Alex Pretti reportedly turned to her and said, "Are you okay?" His final words were checking on another human being. And then he was murdered in cold blood with our tax dollars. Alex Pretti was a nurse for American veterans, an ICU nurse. He ran towards helping people. They killed a hero who was only doing his civic duty, his constitutionally protected right, who was using his privilege of being a white man to protect the vulnerable, to stand up for justice for the murders of dozens of people by state violence, by a lawless fascist regime. Please understand that you are strong. You are a strong, strong person, especially if you can listen to the show. But all of us trying to power through this collective grief and anxiety and rage, we can't do that unless we address it. If we don't sit down and sit with our rage, our grief will force us to sit down. Even the strong need to cry in the shower. And that is what I do to get through these times. I've been doing this for a very long time now. And then I dry myself off and I keep going. We are fighting with urgency in a generational struggle, and our victory is guaranteed because our enemies are weak cowards. They are the Ku Klux Klan. They hide behind masks. We've defeated the Klan before as a nation. They know the reason why they hide behind masks is because they know it will bring shame to themselves and their families if we saw their faces and knew their names as they murdered innocent people in cold blood. So hold space for yourself, talk to that pain inside, find the time, even 15 minutes, to let it come out in a way that feels like the release you need because we all need that right now. Grieving is an act of resistance. So be sure to make time to grieve. The pain never goes away. It changes you. It changes how you see the world and your closest relationships. And you now have a relationship with it. And in that relationship, you learn to honor the grief by helping build the better world we all need and deserve. I know very well what it's like to live with grief. Since Russia's invasion began 11 years ago, everything I've done since was a relationship to my grief, a creative expression of my grief. You will find that healing voice for yourself and your grief, and you will plant seeds of justice with it. Thank you to everyone who came to the Gaslit Nation Salon on Monday. As always, we got a lot of amazing insights and helpful links, which I'm going to share in the show notes, including on a general strike this Friday, January 31st. I'll link to it in the show notes, and I'm sure there'll be others. We've had general strikes before to move and push our country forward, so let's all join together January 31st. And I'm also going to share an important website, Cut Off the Spigot. That's cutoffthespigot.com, a site that finds alternatives to unethical companies, big corporations, and private equity firms. It's a way to build resistance into your everyday consumer habits. There's also Shop the Hood, which helps you find products of small businesses to support instead of Amazon. All of these links will be in the show notes, along with a website on ways to support Minnesota right now, and a must read article by Jonathan Rausch, an analyst at the Brookings Institute who has made a name for himself being reluctant to call MAGA fascism. He finally comes out and says it. Yes, this is fascism in 2026. Okay, yes, it's fascism. For those who don't need the confirmation, yes, Jonathan Rausch is a white man. Marginalized communities have been telling you as soon as Donald Trump descended down that escalator into hell, announcing his run for president, that this is fascism. And now here we are. Listen to marginalized communities. We are your early warning system, not because we want to be, but because it's an act of self defense for us all. Now, for our listeners in Texas, we want to draw your attention to a tenacious community organizer in Travis County, Texas. She's running for county commissioner. Her name is Susanna Ledesma Woody. To introduce you to Susanna, a friend of a Gaslit Nation listener, I'll read from her website. Susanna is a proud Central Texan, a devoted mother of three, a respected public servant, and a passionate advocate for equity and opportunity. She's running a people-powered campaign, so be sure to pitch in with a few dollars to donate to help build progressive resilience and progressive infrastructure in Texas. We need all hands on deck. So if wherever you live, look for races. Reach out to your local election board and see if there's any race, large or small, that you can run for. So many races go uncontested, and Republicans are just going in like a revolving door. So find a position to run for. Go to your local election office and just say, hey, can I have a list of campaigns, elections that are coming up for offices, opportunities, large and small? I'm thinking of rolling up my sleeves and pitching in. That's all you have to do. Just that one little act and just see what's available and just see what feels right to you. All right, everyone, I wanted to check in with you and to congratulate everyone, especially, of course, the people of Minnesota, for standing strong and showing the world how to stand up to fascist bully Trump. You created an American Maidan, and it's only the beginning. Bovino was sent packing. The Republican candidate for governor in Minnesota, who helped Renee Good's murderer get legal help, has dropped out of the race. Good riddance. And it looks like Kristi Noem is on the way out and maybe the next fascist fall guy. But our focus has to be on impeaching President Stephen Miller. The white nationalists behind the mass death and cruelty. Those online trolls on your college campus, those online trolls on X, they're all mass shooters. Stephen Miller is just another white nationalist mass shooter, only he holds the most powerful office in the world. He is the de facto president of the United States. While Trump is off pushing Melania's pathetic propaganda film, hosting a screening just like President Woodrow Wilson screened the very first film in the White House, Birth of a Nation, celebrating the Ku Klux Klan, birther Melania's movie is part of that legacy of white nationalist films screened by white nationalists in our White House, built by slaves, as First Lady Michelle Obama reminded us. So if you want to get under Trump's fragile ego, which is very easy to do, and the reason why we should all be screaming from the rooftops that it's President Stephen Miller, impeach President Stephen Miller. Let's all have a big No King's March against President Stephen Miller, because Trump has no problem abandoning people who have helped him, like he abandoned his mentor Roy Cohn and Roger Ailes, both powerful men who helped launch him along with Putin. Trump will abandon Stephen Miller if he gets rubbed in his face enough that it's Stephen Miller's fault, that the real president calling the shots is Stephen Miller. That is how we do it. Now, in honor of the Minnesota Maidan, where activists braved the cold to overcome a tyrannical regime, even Ukrainian analysts are watching Minnesota and saying, that's it. That's a Maidan. I will link to one Ukrainian analyst writing about that very thing in the show notes. So, in honor of you, American patriots in Minnesota, I want to play this message from a Gaslit Nation listener, Annie, one I read on the show a few weeks ago, but now you can hear it in her own voice. And after that, you'll hear the music of wonderful American patriots in the street making beautiful music, the song Stand By Me, because that is how we win, standing by each other in our culture of care, building a better America from the fascist ashes. Now, look out for tonight's episode. We're going to be looking at real life government conspiracies, MK Ultra, COINTELPRO, all of it. The Church Committee report that shocked America, revealing the very real mass murdering deep state for insights on how we overcome today's mass murdering regime. So look out for the episode running tonight. Thank you all. Stay strong. And remember, find time to sit down with your heart and let it grieve.
Real resistance. I live in Minneapolis, 6 minutes from where Renee Good was shot and killed today by an ICE agent. I am 39, a white woman with a 6-year-old son like Renee. I am on my neighborhood rapid response thread, and on another morning, it could easily have been me who was shot and killed. I feel grief, I feel rage, but I am also hopeful that her death will crack open something that needs to see the light of day. On Tuesday, dozens of people were brutally kidnapped and taken from their families, but there were no press conferences and no headlines. Today, all eyes are on ICE. Schools are canceled for the rest of the week. My manager wrote to say she understands if we need to take time off. It finally feels like the whole city is grieving in the way I have been for the past 5 weeks since ICE first began occupying Minneapolis, and the past 5 months since ICE first descended on Chicago. It feels like I can finally grieve openly. Politicians are taking the occupation more seriously. Governor Walz is talking about the National Guard. Mayor Frey is talking about Minneapolis police officers protecting First Amendment rights. There's so much the state and the city could be doing to assist and protect people at risk right now, but their opposition has been limited to press conferences, social media posts, and an ordinance that limits the use of city property by ICE. This is really different than playing an active role in protecting and supporting people. Actual resistance could look like tracking ICE apprehensions and accounting for all victims, running a support hotline for impacted families, providing legal aid to immigrants, tracking ICE locations and sharing this information with immigrants at risk, maintaining a list of ICE license plates, serving as constitutional observers during ICE stops, or even just lifting up the work of rapid response networks and encouraging residents to participate. None of this has been happening, and that probably won't change. But now I have a tiny bit of hope that it might. There's a recent video put out by Tad Stormer, a historian of resistance movements, about the loyal opposition that puts words to how I've been feeling. He says, when the opposition party treats an authoritarian regime as a normal political opponent, it doesn't just fail to resist, it becomes a loyal opposition, loyal to the system it is operating in. It actively teaches people the wrong lessons about what resistance looks like. It tells everyone watching, this is the only appropriate response. This is how serious people handle this situation. And when this is press releases and podium speeches and fundraising emails and strongly worded social media posts endlessly about, cost of living issues, while the regime is invading sovereign nations, announcing it will run them, threatening NATO and world stability in addition to our domestic stability, what people learn is that the situation might not, in fact, be that serious. He goes on to contrast this with real resistance, which includes developing organizing infrastructure, building parallel institutions, and building resistance networks. He uses the Underground Railroad as an example of real resistance and talks about how the loyal opposition absorbs energy that could otherwise be used for building the resistance infrastructure that we need. Today, Jacob Frey told ICE to get the fuck out of Minneapolis, but he didn't say what he will do if they don't. We need to be thinking about resistance dynamics. When ICE does not get out of Minneapolis, what actions will the city take? What actions are we taking to back up our demands? The phrase that keeps repeating in my head today is, make repression backfire. Collectively, let's channel our grief and rage into making state repression backfire and building a real resistance movement that will allow us to protect people, take back power, and build the world.